All right, so before I remembered to push record, I started talking about we're going to make dot plots for the data that we collected in class yesterday. So here is the frequency table for all of the data that we collected yesterday. These were the total sums of the dice, the 2 dice that were rolled, and how many of each sum that we had. And we're turning this into a dot plot. So we're going to need 2 through 12 written along the bottom of our graph. And so if you want to do that first, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then you're just going to put dots for each one of those. So we had 2 people that rolled a sum of 2. We had 2 rolls that were 3. For 4, we had 3, so I'm going to do 3 dots. And you can kind of see how I'm lining these up across. We want to make sure that if there's 3 dots, it's actually taller than 2 dots. Okay, you can kind of think of this as a bar graph. It's a similar situation except that we're using dots. For 5, we had 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4 dots. For 6, we only had 1 sum of 6. For 7, we had 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. For 8, we had 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm just going to barely squeeze that in there. So there are lots of 8s. There were 5 9s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There were 6 10s, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There were 2 11s, 1, 2, and there was 1 12. So that is a dot plot. Okay? So if you had the data, basically, you could just go through a list of numbers and put them in on the different things. We already had a frequency table made, so this was pretty easy. We just read it off. But this just represents, it's a visual representation of how all of those dice rolls played out. Okay? So what we're going to do next, this is a lot like a bar graph. We actually had each one of these numbers represented with a separate place on the dot plot. We're going to do a histogram next, which is a bar graph, but it's a special type. With a histogram, you usually want to have only a few categories. We sort of think of them. So we want to have 2 through 12 and have it spread out like that. So we're going to group these a little bit. So what I might do is I might go and make a little line right there and say, okay, this is where my bar is going to go for 2 through 4. And then I might have a category that's 5, 6, 7. So this is 2, 3, 4, that's 5, 6, 7. So they're each representing 3 numbers. We want to make sure that they're even. And then we could do 8, 9, and 10, so 8 through 10. And then 11 and 12 will end up by themselves. That's okay. And along this side, we're going to put numbers to represent the height of each bar. So the highest number that we had was 10. We had 10 8s. So I want to make sure that towards the top of my graph, I have 10. And then I might go, okay, halfway from there is 5. And just make sure I'm spacing this well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So this is the sums of the 2 dice. And along this side, we have what's called the frequency. So how often did they happen? Okay? And it looks like I didn't quite space that one out very well, so I'm going to move that over. All right, so if I'm going to do a category for a sum of 2 to a sum of 4, I have to add these up. So I had 2 2s, 2 3s, and 3 4s. So that adds up to 7 total. So my bar is going to go up to 7. And you can color that in if you want to. It's sort of a personal preference thing. And then we have to do 5 through 7. So we had 4 5s, 1 6, and 4 7s. So that adds up to 9. So my bar there is going to go up to 9. And then if you want to, I like to shade these different ways. I don't know why I'm weird. It's just how I learned to do this, I guess. You can also do different colors. Huh?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. And then on 8 through 10, we had...
We did it wrong.
Oh, yeah. We didn't make this big enough, did we? Dang it. All right, so how many would we have? We'd have 10, 15, so 21. I am going to erase this. So I should have been thinking about this ahead of time. It's okay. It's why I do math and pencil. I will fix it. So I need to be able to go to 21. So I'm just going to change this scale over here. I didn't actually number everything, so it's okay. So I'm going to go by twos. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and then I'll add 22 up there. And then if you want to make little marks in between for the odd numbers, sometimes that's helpful too. Sorry about that. So for 2 through 4, we had 7 of them, so I will redo that bar. Put that at 7. For 5 through 7, we had 9, so I'll go up to 9, and that was a quick fix. So this happens to everybody. It's okay. We can pretend I did this on purpose.
It doesn't happen to us, though.
Oh, well, it happens to me. I don't know about you guys. And I think I added this right. So there was 10 and 5 and 6. So that adds up to 21. So I've got to go up to 21 for the bar for 8 through 10. I'm just kind of striping these differently. You can do different colors. You can just make the bars. And then for 11 and 12, we only have 3. Okay. So, some things to consider when you're making this histogram is you want to try to break these down fairly evenly. Looking at this, I might have wanted to do 2 on each bar instead of 3. You want to have somewhere, I'm trying to think what the standards were in the textbook. I think it's between 3 and 6 bars. You don't want to have 10 or 12 bars here. You do want to put them into categories. And then you want to try to break these apart fairly evenly. We weren't able to break them evenly into 4 bars. And I think there's, let's look up here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11 different numbers, so that's, you're not going to break that down evenly no matter what you do. But we could have maybe put the 10 with the 11 and 12. We could have done some things differently there. But this is just basically what a histogram looks like. It's a bar chart, and instead of having individual numbers down here, we have these little groups. Okay, does that make sense? All right, so now we're going to talk about a box and whisker plot. The box and whisker plot uses the information that we did yesterday. So what you want to do on the line, this is going to be our number line. We want this to go from 2 to 12 again, just like we did for the dot plot. So we're going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And if you wanted to, you could have put 1 on here, but 1's technically not a possibility. All right, so you have all of your numbers theoretically evenly spaced. I didn't do a great job, but it's not as bad as I sometimes do. And so this is just the number line that's going to go underneath your graph. Your graph's going to go in the space up here. We're going to start with the maximum and minimum numbers. So the lowest roll you could have was a 2. So up here you put a dot at 2. The highest number you could have was 12. So you put a dot over here at 12. Okay? And then we use our quartiles. So if we go back to what we had over here when we were figuring things out, our lower quartile is 5. The median is 8. The upper quartile was 9. And then the range is 4. So these are the numbers that we need, is the lower quartile, the median, the upper quartile. So we're going to make a box that goes from the lower quartile to the upper quartile. So the lower quartile was at 5. The upper quartile was at 9. Okay? And we're going to put those in. And then the median was at 8. So you draw a little line in the middle there. And that's telling us that that was the middle of our data. So this is the box, and then we have to do the whisker part. Somebody thought these looked like whiskers. You draw a little line out from the box to these maximum and minimum values. And so that is a box and whisker plot. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I messed up. Oh no. I did not tell anyone.
So a box and whisker plot gives us a lot of information. At this end right here, that's your first quartile. This is the median, which is your second quartile. Median, which is also called Q2.
To do
This is the Q3.
do you have to find all those things?
You have to find all those things first, which we did yesterday. The cool thing about this is it splits your data up. I know that the median is the halfway point. So what that tells me is, from my lowest value to the median, that's where 50% of my data is. 50% of my data is between 2 and 8. That's half of my data. The other 50% of my data is between 8 and 12. And so you can see that it's moved a little bit this way. We had more numbers. If you think about what this looked like here, we had more numbers on this right-hand side. That 8 through 10 especially was really big. So 50% in this little space between 9 and 12, and the other 50% is more spread out over here. Other things, so we basically broke this into 4 quartiles, is what they call it. From the whisker to here, this is 25%. And then from the edge of the box to the median is 25%. And this is 25%. So that's a little squished up. Between 8 and 9 was 25% of our data. There were lots of 8s and 9s. And then the other 25% is over here. So the box represents the middle 50% of our data. There's just lots of this. So basically, this is just a graph that kind of shows us the breakdown of where all the numbers were. It was more concentrated right here. Definitely more concentrated here. It was more spread out on this side. Okay?